need to know
this is who I am.
where it began
Vryheid was
so that you
originally
can
white.
continue forward.
I am
My aim in life is to help. God has a
ngoba
plan for
amagugu
everyone.
phela ayingathandi ukuthi sihambe siyofunda.
Some journeys are full of surprises, and the paths that they lead us on are often windy and full of new lessons and experiences.
Welcome to African Identities. My name is Yonela,
And I'm Zianda.
and this is the journey of the Pillay family.
I've been working in Vryheid for many, many years.
We've been married for 31 years, very happily.
I'm a Catholic. You know, I do a lot of work within the Catholic Church. I am involved in the church, in the parish council. We help with a lot of activities.
I, in fact, was not Catholic. I was a Hindu. I married John, who was a Catholic, and I converted.
And I have 3 children.
I have a beautiful grandchild of 10 years old.
I was born in a little town called Kwandandi. But as you know, in little towns in those days, jobs were hard to come by. So I found a job in Vryheid in 1978, and I worked for a company called Sun Crush. This company used to bottle Coca-Cola products. Due to the laws of the land at that time, in 1978, as an Indian person, you couldn't work in Vryheid without having a working permit. So I obtained a permit, and I worked here for a couple of months. The days of the Dompas, if I can call it, the days of the Dompas, the days of when the black people and people like the maids and stuff like that couldn't live on properties, that used to be very, very damaging when the Drakensberg board used to raid properties to see who's living and who's sleeping on those properties and have them arrested and thrown into jail. And it was quite a time.
My dad lived in that time and was personally affected by it. And we sort of just, received what was on the fringe of it.
In this town here, there was actually a bell in this town that used to ring at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, warning people, right, now you've got to go home. Now it's time to go. The police station, that used to be the siren, the old bell siren. Siren used to ring at 5 o'clock. Even if you were a motorist and going past this town of Vryheid, you needed to require a permit, which you had to produce at the police station. Vryheid, Paul Petersburg, Piet Retief, and those areas were regarded as what you call the new republic in those years of South Africa. This is the courthouse. Okay, this is where all the court cases used to take place. This is the old courthouse. The courts refused to renew my permit, and I was asked to leave. I was at one point arrested for having been working in Vryheid with an expired permit. So I had to leave Vryheid in 1982, and I took up a position in the Newcastle branch. Things slowly started changing in the town. The laws changed, especially in terms of group areas and permits. And in 1994, things became freer in terms of harassment by police to individuals that have to have things like working permits. People were now able to move freely across the town. In 1995, I was given a promotion as the branch manager of this plant in Vryheid. So I moved back to Vryheid in 1995.
When we came to Vryheid, we were warned, as Indians, as non-whites, we consider ourselves being blacks. And we were warned that the people in Vryheid are not accommodating at all.
When I arrived in Vryheid, I attended the local convent school, which was Nadini Convent School. That was one of Vryheid's first interracial schools. For me, it was a bit of a change, because when I lived in Newcastle, we kind of all lived in our own little areas and went to school. I had never been to school with white children before.
There are people that are very good. There are people that are mediocre in the center group, where they accept you or whether they pay lip service to you, but behind you it's a different story. But then we have people that tell you straight out, you are not welcome here.
At school, you almost were in the middle of people couldn't really put you in a category, so you sort of stuck in the middle, and that's what Indian people were seen as. You know, we weren't quite black enough and then weren't quite white enough, so we would feel that sometimes our potential was not always praised enough.
But I must say, over the years, since 1994, things have changed. Those that have a very high view on apartheid and don't want to mix have gone to the background, and they seem to have stayed there, because whatever they say is no more even heard.
At the time that I was in growing up, I think I was lucky. I think that by that time people had started to open up. By the time my sister Cleantha had started high school, people were actually even more open to the idea of non-whites, being at their best, being leaders in the school.
Growing up in Vryheid was quite different from where I came from. It was different, enlightening, and I think it shaped the person who I am.
What I find particularly different in the town is that many people have come from the emerging markets to live in town. So the town is no longer just a white town as it used to be. It's a town full of people of different races, different cultures.
As a business person, I must say that you do get at this point in time, you do still get people who don't truly believe that they could, access your services, and then you get people that do. So after 20 years of democracy, we've traveled a long road, but we're not there yet.
I wouldn't say it's racism free as in free, 100%. No, but a lot have let go. If you look at the just from the housing point of view, there was not a single owned black home here in this town. But now it's 90%.
I would say that there have been changes, but I won't say that there's been a full change. I myself am married to an Afrikaans man, and that was a challenge in its own. We had lots of problems with many of the local people, causing trouble for us. They were not happy or accepting of our relationship. But you also see those who are, and that is where you get to see the change since 1994. People who are so accepting and so loving and have never looked at us as if we are different.
It is more the younger group that seem to be the ones that are having a problem. It's like they have been motivated. That's amongst the whites, amongst the Indian, and amongst the black people. Apartheid is rife amongst the black people as well. In fact, it is a reverse. It's a reverse apartheid.
Till this very day, and I suppose till the day I die, when my husband and I walk down the streets, we still get looked at very strangely. But in this town, I can definitely say it's not all like that. There's definitely a bit of both. It's not an easy topic for it just to vanish. So I think we will be struggling with this for quite some time, but it's definitely much better.
If anyone values the struggle that our freedom fighters went through in South Africa, they need to sit back and they need to realize that we need to take this forward and we not take 10 steps backwards. South Africa in general is a better place to live in because we are more integrated now. We are not kept away from one another. We can associate freely with one another. But I think the sad thing amongst the youth of South Africa today is that they seem to be reviving the past resentments, and some of them, it had never touched them.
They are more educated in terms of getting a good schooling and university and stuff like that, but their attitude and their respect is totally lost.
The youngsters have lost their respect. They no more view adults as adults. They can speak how they feel like, they can do what they want, and that is amongst all the groups.
We were taught in our families to forgive and to be tolerant and to be able to get along with everyone and to appreciate everyone. But I'm finding that moral fiber of our society is disintegrating because it's not being kept alive in the families, and rather resentment is being passed along.
It would be amazing if we all had the same level of insight and could live by those principles. This would be a much better world to live in.
I feel that knowing who you are determines all your actions, all your behaviors, and all the choices that you make. So it's so important in going back, knowing where you come from, knowing what the morals of your family, what the values of your family are, in order for you to be a contributing member of society. I believe that knowing your culture and your heritage is so important in knowing your identity.
I definitely think it's important for them to know who they are and where they come from. Not because we want them to use it against people that they are around and to manipulate situations that they are in, but definitely to know who they are, to know and to help them learn who they want to be.
It is important for young people to know their culture. It is important for them to know, because the word culture, a lot of them use it without any meaning. They don't actually know. If you would say, you know, why are you doing this? Oh, it's my culture to do that. But a lot of the things you find is not culture.
Maybe something back then in the past, maybe long before they were ever born, was negative. And maybe they could, by knowing about it and what caused it and the effect it had on their families, they could use that information to change and to become a better person and to have better families and to grow better children and just all in all have a much better contribution to the community and to life in general.
Thank you for watching.
Join us again next time. Goodbye.